Yeah, you and I, at the end of the footy season, you and I were talking about this on air and off air about the fact that we thought that Johnny Longmire may walk away
Well,
from
it
the
sounds
coaching
like
position.
we're talking about it after the fact, but we did discuss this.
No, I think we discussed it on air too.
Oh, did we?
I think
People won't remember.
I
Let's just
think
say
we
did.
did post the grand final, and I wasn't surprised at all when the news broke early in the week that he had decided to give it away. He had been thinking about it for a while. That's all been revealed now, but. Was there any surprise associated with that to you?
Surprise?
Yeah, were you surprised in any way?
Yeah.
Did you think because there'd been a bit of time since the grand final that maybe he'd had a rethink about it? Yeah.
No, I was surprised. I thought I hadn't given it too much thought, to be honest, but I did think if there was going to be an announcement, it might have been, look, Johnny Longmire and Sydney today are saying that next year will be his last and that the succession's in place and the handover to Dean Cox will, come about at the end of 2025. I thought maybe if something like that. But... I think listening to John's press conference, I think it's great. I think it's great for the club. I think it's great for Johnny because
he needs a break.
He needs a break.
Yeah.
13, 14 years.
That job. I was only in that job for 2 unsuccessful years.
Yep.
Okay. But it is exhausting.
Yeah.
It is. I take my hat off to anybody that stays in a position of that sort of
100%.
pressure for a decade, like a number of the coaches have. And retain any form of sanity whatsoever. But he looked like a man that just needed a break from all that stress and pressure. It's something that never, ever leaves you. We talked to Chris Scott last night about how the pressure is with you. Even at this time of the year, Gary, you would think that you're able to escape it in some way because there's not a win or a loss associated with your work at the end of every week. But it's still there. It just gnaws away at you the whole time.
I think I suspect that would be the case. He would have thought, I'll go away and have a break and I'll start, I'll get hungry and refreshed and go again. And probably it didn't happen this time. So then he was good enough and brave enough and honest enough to say no. And I think he'll coach again. I think he will. I think he'll freshen up within. It might be 6 weeks, it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years. But I reckon he'll go again.
I don't think he will coach again, but I think there's a strong possibility because he really loves the football environment, and I think he really enjoys the recruiting side of it too. I can see him being associated with an AFL club. Maybe I think he'd be a great appointment for the Tasmanian team too in the compilation of their team, but not just the talent that they're going to put out there on the field, but the whole building of a football club because they've had a great organisation up there, the Sydney Swans, over a period of time. So there are many, many things that can be learnt from what they've been able to piece together.
Yeah, and maybe some club down the path will be brave enough to restructure the way they do it. And he may be this whole director, manager style overseer that then lets other blokes do the nuts and bolts. I don't know. He won't be lost to footy, and anyway, that's the main thing. But it does... what else I started to think about then was Kenny Hinkley's and, the Lukey Beveridge, blokes that have been in clubs for a long time. And, we probably unfairly speculate about their futures and how long they'll be there. They would all be doing it themselves. They'd have to be. You see John, who's had them in a grand final once every 3 years. So he was sustained by success and the fact that they're close. So you get you up. But if you haven't had that success, well, Luke has, but Kenny hasn't. Once you get over the 10 years, it's not speculation about wanting to run you out of the club for the sake of it, but it's just a long, long time at one club.
Did you, are we allowed to talk about what you've been doing the last couple of days?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've gone over to Freo. You've been embedded in the organisation over there for a couple of days.
Embedded's a bit strong.
Well, I saw you in a Fremantle gear. And
well,
you had your footy boots on, all that sort of gear.
Let me talk about it.
Which is, if you don't mind me saying.
I don't know what you're going to say, but I don't mind it.
It's unbecoming.
Well, let me just explain myself.
I don't know that you need to go over there and then put the gear on and put your boots on and go out on the track and try and tell the key forwards how to play and their leading patterns and all that type of thing.
I didn't do any of that.
It looked like you were.
I didn't do any of that. I was going for a lunch yesterday, which I'd been booked for Freo, for their great coterie group, the Diamond Club, I think AJ Diamond Club. And I didn't think I was able to do it because I had to be back here today, but they said, look, we can get you back on a flight. You'll be home at midnight. So once we figured that, I thought, well, I'll come a day earlier because we don't know anything about Freo and West Coast really in terms of, like we do about our own clubs over here. So if I could come a day earlier and have a look at the setup and then they were great. They said, yeah, and Justin said come and go. So I sat in on their meetings and
Access all areas?
access all areas.
Yep.
Went out. I did go out on the track.
You did, yeah.
Only because he told me to.
Right.
And then they said, "Here, chuck this kid on." So I did that.
You should have gone for a long sleeve too. The Warwick Farms alongside Dick Tracy didn't look too flash.
Well, that's the next thing.
How big is Dick Tracy?
When you watch training at close quarters like that, with a group of players that you don't see very much apart from the weekend, by hell, as are all clubs, they're fit and strong. I'm a fan. They're not going to get preferential treatment or anything like that. But I think that boy Tracy could be the best forward in the game.
He dwarfed you. How big is he? He's a monster.
When did you see him?
You sent a photo of him.
That wasn't Tracy.
Who was that?
That was Hodor.
No, it wasn't.
That was Sean Darcy.
Oh, he's big too then, isn't
He's
he?
a monster.
That didn't look like... He's lost a lot of weight then, Sean Darcy.
Well,
he's
he's
that didn't look like Sean Darcy.
That was Sean Darcy. But yeah, Tracy, by God, he's a mover. Gee whispers. I'd nearly be. He'd nearly be first picked if you could say, who do you want at your club?
I think there's a real danger in doing what you did though, because
What?
I sat down.
What is
I'll only go from my own experience, okay?
This will be good.
And
What?
that was last year pre-season.
Yeah.
I got invited to have dinner with the Gold Coast Suns.
I bet you're.
And I think I gave them more than enough tickles last year as a result of that.
No, that's none of
and
that.
I met a couple of players who I really liked, and I found
You
it
did
very,
actually. But you're very viable. That's all. If you don't
is
mind
true.
me saying,
That is true.
You're very easily got.
That is true. That's a fair criticism.
That's fair criticism. I think that's fair.
If somebody smiles at me and they speak nicely to them
and
to
buy
me,
your
I
coffee.
like them.
They get good. Sarong's underrated.
Oh, so your new favourite, is
Underrated.
he? Oh, he's underrated, is
Underrated.
he? According to what?
According to everyone.
Who
23 years old.
I know,
kid.
but who underrates him?
Well, when I say who are the best midfielders in the competition, you never mention him.
He's right up there.
You never mention him.
Last year I did.
No, you didn't.
During the season.
Not once.
This season,
I didn't hear you say it once.
This season we had a discussion about
Who else have I got there?
my favourite players, and I actually had him in as one of my favourite players. So you can take that back if you like.
I think you did, actually.
What did you learn about them that you didn't already know about Fremantle? Was there something that really impressed you?
I can't divulge that level of detail, Tim. I've signed an NDA. Or what's it called?
Yeah, that's it. A non-disclosure.
Yeah. No, they're doing what all their clubs are. They're tinkering with the way they want to play and be, how aggressive they want to be with it all. But they're well led. Alex Pearce. Gee, you should see the scar on Alex Pearce. This is the level of detail.
You're examining scars, man.
I was able to poke his scar.
Right, okay.
That's how level of detail I got.
Well, you're going to bring that to the airways of Fox
200
next
centimetre
season.
fullback, Ruckman. 200 centimetre fullback as their captain.
Yep.
You got.
I knew all that. I looked up the footy record. I saw that he was 200 centimetres.
Give
me something that we don't know.
I'm not giving you my best stuff.
Give us something.
Not yet. That's what. You know why? Because Brian's on his way in. And he'll pinch it and take it over to Channel Wisp. But it's good. They're good. That was good fun. It was good fun.
So did you have a detailed discussion with them about the way they play and how they're going to play, or are they going to make any changes, do you think?
No.
What are they going to do with Bolton? Are they going to play him in the midfield?
Oh, yeah. So in the meeting, this is not talking out of school, because he arrived last night, I think, when I'd left, so he wasn't there. He just had a baby, just had his second baby. So they're excited about it. And the players, they were doing some video stuff and putting up images, and then they put up an image of him and he's in a Fremantle jumper, and
right.
I think it was just spontaneous. The players just started, oh, and like they're fans themselves. So that's how excited they are about him coming in. So.
He's exactly what they don't have enough of. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's a very good observation. I think they are of that mind to have that sort of player. Because Hayden Young.
So his value to him is even more than what it looks at face value.
Yeah, I think they had Young go forward and kick some goals, and tried Brayshaw, and even Sarong, your man, went down there. But I did mention.
Where'd they put you up? By the way?
I mentioned that to Caleb that you were a fan of his.
Right.
He said, "Who's that?"
Where did they put you up? Because this will tell me how important they thought you were.
Small bed sit.
Did you have a per diem while you were over there?
The Crown Towers up at the Crystal. It's great to see you, Bristler. It is great to have you in here at SEN. You're a great fan of the station.
Yes, haven't told that one for a while. But no, listening on the way in, Gary, and the thing that really struck me was Tim was able to announce today that you're now part of the Fremantle Dockers. and set up over there, and you're strategic in the background.
Strategic.
We know that you've had a strategic
has.
mind for many
Yep.
years, and it's great that they're going to utilise that.
Yep.
Out of,
He's on media watch for
Yes.
next year. Paul Barry's going to be monitoring everything he
About
has
what?
to say. Well, cash for comment, that type of thing.
No cash.
Not many people get paid to go over there
No
and get
cash.
embedded for a while.
Why did you put the shirt on, Gary? Why did you need this Fremantle Dockers shirt?
Because I thought it'd be a good Christmas present for one of the boys when I got back here. No, it was great. Because you do a lot of that sort of stuff. You do it. You do it. Made a much lower profile where they pick you and get you out as the sort of the
No, I don't
goal
do
kicking.
any of that sort of stuff,
You
Gary.
used to.
I haven't done it for a long time.
Who was your great success stories in the goal kicking field? Where you
not a lot of
self-anointed as the
success.
number one goal kicking coach kicking in the game?
Because this was a period in the game, Gary, where the men in control of loads, etc.,
Yeah.
at the clubs, the physical guys, would say that, Brian, Anthony Rocker today, yes, you can have Anthony for 4 kicks today. Brian, I'm going, are you kidding me? So I basically gave up mentally and think, well, how can you improve anyone with that? And I now see that guys like Brad Johnson, who's going absolutely fantastically, doing a bit with the Dogs, he's now given a 1 hour, window to be able to do it, and that
well,
makes sense.
Chance for you to come back.
So I won't be coming back, Gary.
Why
Are
wouldn't
you a big fan of Dick Tracy, like our man
Yes,
over here who
I-
spent 5 minutes with
Oh,
him?
Jesus, did that strike me and almost knock me out that he's...
What?
You actually said he is going to be the greatest
That's
player
right.
in the game.
And guess what? By
Dick,
round
give me
by
5
round-
things
by
that
round
Dick
3
does better than Marcus
by
Bontempelli.
round 3, I'll be tuning into one of your calls on replays, which and I'll hear Brian go, "By hell, this boy he could be the best player in the game." No, he reminds me a little of you in your prime. He's got a presence. He hits the ball hard. He likes to make physical contact as you used to when. When Brian used to play against Melbourne, gee whiz, we used to say, we put his name up on the blackboard and we used to say, easy to get to.
And I used to welcome it, Gary, because I used to like to play. But
What was your record like against
Danny, I don't think I ever kicked less than 7. And 7 was a bad game for a full forward in those days. So, I think I got him on 7. Is he a lawyer now? Is he in the legal world, Gary?
Danny Hughes?
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't be. He wasn't splitting atoms, old Huey, back in the day.
Because I used to think he was smart. At least he had that going for him.
Now, next year, I'm the only one of the 3 in here at the moment that
yes.
won't be associated with a network of any kind producing the football. So I'm going to just ask both of you this. Brian first, the Channel 7 up head-to-head against Fox, Gary's Mob next year. What can you promise all those Channel 7 viewers that tune in next year
Well,
that they haven't maybe had before?
Just the normal level of information, excellence that both of us produce. Look, Fox and Gary, they have their audience and we have ours. Of course, they've got to pay to watch and ours is free. That's the difference.
That's it.
And
That's a big difference, though.
Well, it is, but for the footy people that I can see out in front waiting to win this magnificent Toyota out here in front of me, they're
going to be the big winner.
They're going to be the big winners, aren't they? Because they're going to be able to pick and choose in what they do. And
well, you've added a little bit of Corn and you've added some Revolt to your coverage as well. So the Corn, how many games a week is he going to be doing?
I don't know what the setup of anyone is, Tim. And
he does. He knows
it hasn't been
everything.
announced. I'm not sure even what I'm doing at this stage.
He does.
Hopefully, a new window will open.
I'm reading into that you're not aware or you're not sure about what you can say.
He knows
publicly at this
everything
stage.
that's going
No,
on.
if I could say anything now, I would, but
Right.
I'm not sure, and for obvious reasons, it hasn't been announced yet because all the positions are not filled.
How do
Okay.
you
Gary,
get on with Kane? Have you and he?
Kane and I get on very well. I
Do you?
love Kane as an
Has
operator.
that always been the case?
Love
or
what
I
he-
think-
yes. No, I've always been one that's got on with Kane. Love him
Yeah.
and welcome him to Channel 7. Can't wait to work with him.
You get on with most people, though. But Gary,
No, he
what can Fox promise us for next season? I see that Jared, who is an excellent caller, will be calling games next year.
Yeah.
You and he are going to be spending a lot of time together.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
We'll just try to compete against Brian and just
No, we don't have to compete.
No, we will be. Don't worry about that. It'll be a competition. Don't worry about that, Brian. No, it's choice, as Brian says. It's, you can choose, and when there's been a magnificent piece of play that results in a spectacular goal, you can guarantee on Fox for that next 30 seconds, we'll replay it, we'll show exactly how it happened, where it come from, and at the same time we're watching Brian, you'll be able to find out what the specials are at Woolworths. So you can get all of that.
You get to choose because you're so powerful there at Fox. Which Channel 7 lineup have you chosen to go against?
I don't want to go up against Brian, so wherever he is, I'll go somewhere else because he's a monster. Let's get into some other stuff. You doing the podcast?
Yes,
Still? Life of Brian?
Life of Brian, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm doing that with my
Harrison?
son. Yeah, with my son.
I've listened. I like it. I enjoy it. Haven't been on yet.
Well, the great thing about that, no, but
you've had everyone else.
We've tried to get you on.
I've agreed to come on.
Knocked us back twice.
That's not true.
So you're very, very hard to deal with.
Hang on,
from a management point of view.
Let's just rewind on that.
You got to go through his little Balinese friend. What's the name of your Balinese man? Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I
didn't know that.
He was over there for 10 days, and you brought this little fella back, and now he's
he's wandering around the garden. He's got a hedge trimmer in his hand, is he? What are you doing, Gary?
You can say that, Tim. I don't think that's what you can say these days.
Well, Tim's loose now.
He's an unencumbered wispy. Eddie, you've had some fantastic guests. Matty Hill, Grant Hackett, Lydia LaSalle, Dylan Buckley, Peter Mitchell.
Bruce McAvaney.
Mitch was good.
You know, my
Okalupo.
favourite out of all, and I know you guys have spoken with him here at SEN as well, is Matty Keenan, Tour de France commentator.
He's great.
He simplifies a complicated sport. Yeah. And his knowledge is unbelievable. We all remember the great Phil Leggett, of course, and he took his job effectively, and he is every bit as good as what Phil Leggett is.
Complicated.
Right. Yeah, what's complicated about cycling?
Get on a bike.
Oh well, if I were to ask you what were the tactics in the Tour de France, you guys would have no idea that there's only 5 guys that can actually win it. What are the other 9 in each team doing?
Doing the heavy lifting.
They're doing the lifting, yeah.
Yeah, they're very shallow.
They're getting face to wind.
For two sports, gurus, you're very shallow on information when it comes to the Tour de France. Get Matty Keenan on again. I know you've had him on already, but he is an absolute superstar.
Started on this radio station.
You are a man of the land, have been for quite some time. You fancy yourself as someone capable out on the land. Tim and I are very, very capable in terms of what from a farming point of view you've been up to lately?
My philosophy, Gary, is there's a farmer that lives next door and he lives on top of a little rise, and I get the binoculars out in the background, have a look at him, and I watch him walk to the tractor and he puts the hay baler on, so I immediately go and do the same. And say, if it's time to bale hay for him, it's time to bale hay for me. And if he puts the plough on, I put my plough on. And if he sits on the veranda, I sit on the veranda. One day he rang me. He lives 2.5 kilometres away. It's a true story. He rang me and he said, Brian, there's a snake on its way down to your place. 2.5 kilometres. I'm thinking, don't you think it might take a turn in between there somewhere? Anyway, the snake didn't arrive.
What tractor are you rolling with? Because I believe you're doing some road maintenance work around the Lawn area.
Would have had a head cut off. It did right. John Deere is my choice of tool when it comes to machinery.
It's your choice of tool?
Well, machinery.
I know what your choice of tool is.
Well, green is
Whoever
good.
sponsors Triple M.
And of course, if you're cutting down a tree, still a very nice German brand that
I said to Tim,
unequaled around the world.
I said to Tim last year, I went and did a talk at a
landscape gardening fair.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the guy said, do you want to go around to see all the stalls beforehand? And I said, 100%. I was fascinated. Everyone I went to, I'd walk into the stall, they go, oh, yeah, Gary, you should be like Brian. Brian's one of our ambassadors. I go, every second stall I went to.
Well, you'd be a blower, Gary.
I've got a blower.
No, but you would be a blower man. Because I can tell you get out there and you blow the leaves into the corner, and then you try and capture them in a bag, and or you burn them, light them fire, whatever. I'm telling you, the new instrument, the blower, is good for certain circumstances.
Yes.
Is there something new?
Yes,
a sucker.
A sucker. And you go around with a sucker, and it's like a huge outdoor vacuum,
right.
But you can carry it and it's portable, etc. And I just suck now rather than blow.
Damn straight you do.
So where does it all go? You got a pouch?
It goes into a massive bag,
right?
And then you empty the bag, and so you're not blowing and then chasing leaves and the wind's blowing them away. You just go, and it sucks it up. You can hear it. It composts it at the same time, and it is a beauty.
Who makes those?
Still.
He's going to go last farther then.
God.